Hi guys and welcome back. For today's video, I want to recreate my base makeup that I did over the weekend for my anniversary. It was extreme, highlight and contouring, full coverage. It lasted over 9 hours. And when I say extreme, for me, it's extreme. Maybe for some of you it's not. Maybe for others of you, it is just like drag queen makeup. I don't know, but I don't mind going full drag every now and again. Another reason I say extreme is just because the amount of concealers I use, the amount of primers I use, I actually baked. It's a lot. But I just wanted to do this extreme highlight and contouring to kind of just show you guys what I did, the steps I took, and if you want to go extreme every now and again, to know how to do it and to embrace it and not be afraid to do extreme makeup every now and again. This is not an everyday look. It's far from an everyday look, but I really thought it looked great. It looked good outside. My husband even complimented it, and he doesn't like a lot of makeup. So I just kind of wanted to go and tell you exactly what I did. I got compliments on my makeup, so I thought, why not? Let's do a video on this. I've never done a video like this before. Why do I seem like I'm out of breath? I think I've had way too much coffee. Way too much coffee. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning. I've already had way too much coffee. So if you would like to see this extreme, if you're drinking, you should take a shot every time I say extreme, you will thank me later. So if you would like to see how I did this look, then keep on watching. Okay, to start, first off, why am I talking like this? First off, I want to say I overly moisturized my skin. If you guys have been watching me for a while, you know that I use the Olay 7-in-1 moisturizer. It's amazing. It is super hydrating, and it also has SPF in it, so that's very important. Speaking of SPF, the reason I put the vlog video up, I think it was on Friday, last Friday. I wasn't thrilled about that vlog, but I could not film a makeup tutorial because I was so extremely sunburnt. My lip is still blistered here. It's still healing up. My forehead was just extremely blistered. Literally, I touched my forehead and I was popping the blisters without even trying to. It was peeling real bad. It was horrible. My forehead is just now, today, to a point where I feel like I could probably film a makeup tutorial. Even when I did my makeup for my anniversary over the weekend, my forehead, it was a little tricky working around my forehead. I made it work, but I didn't have anybody fully close up enough to me to tell. But my lip is still going through it. We call it my little jerpy. It's fine, whatever. Wear your mother sunscreen, people. When I used my lip products, I used a Q-tip because I didn't want to contaminate anything. But honestly, I think for today, I might just stick to the Vaseline I have on. Because I'll admit, the lipstick and the stuff I put on my lips wasn't very flattering with this on it. So I think I might just stick to the Vaseline today. But one thing I always do after my moisturizer is use an eye cream. This is the Olay Ultimate Eye Cream. Any eye cream will work. I just really feel like with the amount of concealer that's going underneath of my eyes, and I do have fine lines, wrinkles, we all do. It is what it is. I always think an under eye cream will help dramatically when using a lot of product under your eye. So I recommend using an awesome eye cream before you do your makeup. So now that we got that out of the way, why do I feel like this is going to be a really extremely long video? That's two. Take two. 2 shots. I will admit I went overboard when it came to primer. Do I always do this? No. Is it necessary? Absolutely 1000% not. But I was just in a mood on Saturday, having fun. I think it took me 2.5 hours to get ready. I was taking my time. I was watching a movie. I was in a great mood because it was our anniversary. So I was just having fun and doing things. So I used 4 primers. And I'm going to tell you why. So what I did was use a matte primer for my T-zone. I'm an oily mess. I knew we were going to go out for a long period of time. So I knew, therefore I knew I would get oily. So I used the Rimmel Stay Matte for my T-zone. And then to fill in my pores, I used the Benefit Professional, which is an amazing pore filling primer. I did happen to buy the e.l.f. What is that? It's like they compare it to like the Tatcha pore filling primer, I think, but it's like the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. That is a tongue twister. And I compared one side of my cheek area where my pores are the worst, I guess, to the other side with the Benefit Professional. So e.l.f. on one side, the Benefit on the other. I could tell a difference. I really feel like that e.l.f. primer did not do much. I don't see the hype in it. Maybe for you it works. I don't know, but I notice a difference when I use the Benefit Professional, at least compared to the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. Just my opinion, but I wasn't too blown away by it. However, the e.l.f. is very hydrating. It has a really nice consistency to it, and I really did like it for hydrating purposes. But as for a pore filling primer, I wasn't blown away. My socks were knocked off, you know what I mean? And then I used, this is ridiculous, like, why was I doing all this? I used the blurring primer from Cover FX, and I used that basically on everywhere. Whoa, it just skeeted. I used this everywhere else that I did not put primer. So basically the outer perimeter on my face, and this is another reason that I did this, is because I knew I was going to be putting a ton of makeup on. I had already planned on it. I knew I was going to be clogging up my pores. I knew I was putting a lot of makeup on. So I wanted a barrier for all parts of my face, because I was going to wear a lot of makeup. So that is the other reason I wanted to make sure I had primer everywhere, and I wanted to use primers for certain problem areas on my face, for my oily parts, for filling in my pores, and now this to blur everything else. Again, is it necessary? No. Do you need to do this? No. But I was being extreme and ridiculous and bougie and all those words, and I don't care. My makeup still turned out bomb. So hate all you want, but it turned out bomb. And then finally, I used the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer Water. All right, now that I am primed for the next 10 days of my life, I am gonna go ahead and use foundation. The foundation I chose to use on Saturday was my Too Faced Born This Way foundation. This is so hydrating, yet doesn't make me oily. The finish is like a satin, beautiful, just skin-like, lightweight finish. I can't say enough good things about this foundation, and it's a great shade match to my self-tan. So that's another reason I chose this, because I knew I was going to be outside, so I wanted an identical exact shade match. We all know how foundations... Oh, God! I had butterfingers today. Y'all know sometimes you have to use several different foundations to get your shade. Some foundations, they just... Once you go outside, you're just kind of like, oh boy, it doesn't look great, you know what I mean? So this foundation has never failed me. It's a great color match. It's skin-like, and that's really what I wanted and looked for when it came to picking the foundations for my anniversary. You guys already know that I use my Mario Badescu cucumber and green tea spray. Use it in every video. I just wanted to mention it because just in case you are new to my channel or just happen to run into this video, I use that foundation, or that spray. So I used 2 pumps and pounced it all over my face. Now that I am all blended out, you can see it just looks beautiful. It looks glowy. Probably my moisturizer helps with that. but it just looks so pretty on the skin-like. I can still see my freckles, so it's not like a full crazy coverage foundation. However, it is buildable, so you could build it up to the coverage that you want. This is good enough for me. 2 pumps usually is my typical amount when it comes to foundation. I'm good with that. The real coverage for me comes from my concealers, because I'm going to use some pretty full coverage concealers that are all from the drugstore. Round of applause for me. Round of applause for me, but they are such good concealers to use. So the first thing I did, I wanted to do the Jackie Aina trick. Jackie. Yeah, I'm never gonna do that again. So I wanted to do the Jackie Aina trick. I've never done it. Was like I was binge watching her videos the past couple days before Saturday, and I'm like, I'm gonna do her concealer trick because it looks effing amazing on her. Her makeup is just probably the best makeup I've ever seen in any like makeup influencer, in the makeup influencer world. Her makeup is the shit. If you have not ever watched her do her makeup and the tips and tricks that she gives you, you are missing out. So I'm going to take the L'Oreal Full Wear Concealer. I liked starting out with this particular shade because it has a lot of pinky undertones. For me, in my dark circles, the hollowness in under my eyes, I just feel like, excuse me, the pinkiness of this concealer is going to help out with the dark circles. So I'm going to start out by using this basically right here and right here. And this is going to help camouflage my dark circles. And the trick here is to let it sit here and almost dry completely down. You don't want it to dry down to where you can't blend it out. However, this is going to keep your coverage. Again, this is coming from Jackie Aina. So yeah, let it dry down, take a break, look at the news, look at what's going on in the world on your phone, whatever. Let it dry down for a good minute or so, and then we will blend that out. Alrighty, and the next thing I do is then spray my beauty blender again, the other side, the tip pointy part, and now I'm going to blend this out. I like to start out on the bottom edge of it because that's where I need it to be the most blended, and then work my way up. And the reason I started so low instead of putting it directly underneath of my eye is because I know when I blend, it's going to blend up into there, and I didn't want as much product to be sitting directly underneath of my eyes because that's where my under eye wrinkles are the worst. So I want a less amount of product there. I want more product to be right here. I am using very, very light pressure. I'm basically tapping the sponge to my face. I'm not really pressing really hard. I am just tapping very, very lightly. All right, now that we look very, very light underneath of the eye, that's okay. That's what I wanted. There's a method to the madness. So now I'm going to take more of just a typical highlight shade. I'm going to use the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer. This is in Light Sand. I was going, again, I'm repeating this because I don't want you guys to forget. I'm going for a very extreme highlight and contour. So that's why I'm using a lot of light shades. So this shade, taking it again right here and blending, placing here. Boom. Again on the other side. And then I'm going to take it right here on my the bridge of my nose. Can't talk. On my chin. And right here. I try and miss my forehead wrinkle right there. I don't like to highlight my forehead too much, but I do want to do a little bit. And now, we're going to let this dry down a little bit. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and spray my beauty blender again and blend this out. All right, not sure if this filmed because my camera cut off, but I took an even lighter concealer right here, just right there, because I have hollow eyes, and this is going to help bring even more light to that highlighted part of the eye to kind of camouflage, that's the right word, lack of a better word, the hollowness underneath of my eyes. So that is why I'm doing that. And again, I'm going to spray and blend this out. Make sure you go back in and tap out all of the creasing if you are to have any. And then I'm going to go right in to my powder, which I'm using the Laura Mercier Translucent. All right, now that we look crazy, I will let this sit for a couple of minutes and go ahead and set the rest of my face. I'm using the MAC Studio Fix Powder Foundation and just setting the rest of my face. Make sure you get your neck too, because you want everything to have the same texture. There's nothing worse than having completely flawless, beautiful skin on your face or makeup on your face, and then your neck is like a completely different texture. You want everything to kind of have the same texture. So make sure you get that neck. The neck needs the loving too. And now I'm gonna go ahead and dust the bake away. Now before moving on, I like to go ahead and spray my face. So I'm going to use the Urban Decay All Nighter. All right, make sure your face is completely dry before you go into bronze. And the bronzer I'm going to use today is the Benefit Hoola, one of my favorite Holy Grail bronzers. When I go into bronzer, it's my contour too. I don't do like a contour shade and a bronzer shade. I just use a bronzer. I'm not too particular with it. So when I am going to contour my face, I already have pretty predominant like cheekbones. Like even when I talk, I don't know why I was making that face. When I smile, I mean, you can see where my cheekbones are and the natural contours of my face. But if you don't, start at the top of your ear and down. That's kind of where I would measure where to contour. And don't bring it down too low. If you bring it down too low, it will make your face shape unflattering, almost making your jaw look bigger than what it is. So if anything, keep it higher, because in my opinion, if I start higher than the natural hollows on my cheek, by the time I get done blending, it kind of blends right into the natural hollow of my cheek. That's just my opinion and what I like to do. So, and then when it comes to contouring my forehead, I have a big ass forehead. We know this, we see this. She's talking to you. We got it. I like to contour here, a little bit here, and then down to here. Have you guys ever heard of like the number 3 method? Boom, boom. That's kind of what you want to stick with when it comes to contouring your face. Do what's most flattering to you. If you have a small forehead, you don't want to contour it. The reason for contouring is to make shadows on your face so things look slimmer, more pulled, more tight, smaller. So if you have a smaller forehead, highlight it more. If you have a bigger forehead, you want to contour it more. Makes sense, hopefully, maybe, we'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and start contouring. I like to build up my contour, so I would say my bronzing contouring takes a while, because I do not like bronzers that are extremely pigmented from the get-go. I think it can go on harsh, it can go on muddy. So I like to start out with a little bit of product and slowly build it up. I find that to be the most flattering shade on my face and keep it from looking muddy. Also use very light pressure, because again, you do not want to put a lot of product on from the get-go. You can even make this little face though, because it will help. Let's not lie, it will help. I like to put a majority of the product right here first, keeping it back. You do not want to drag your contour bronzer up too close or down to your mouth. That does not look as flattering as keeping it high, keeping it up here and bringing it to about here. So this is about where I like to keep it and keep the majority of the pigment in the beginning and then blend it out. Again, let's build up the product. I like to use circular motions, light pressure, so that you get a very, very nice blend. I would also recommend holding your brush down closer to the end of the handle. Do not hold your brush up here. It'll be too much pressure and then putting too much product on your face. Hold your handle back here. You have more control and it'll disperse the product better. Once I go in the second time, I like to keep it back more. Back by my hairline, back at the highest part of my cheekbone. That's where I want the pulled back. My face lifted, pulled back, which is why I like to keep it there. And then once the majority of the product is laid down, then blending it out and blending it down. I also bring it up on my temple. On my forehead, again, I'm basically going around where I did my highlight. The center kind of moon-shaped circle I did on my forehead, I'm going around it. Sometimes when I bronze, I get sloppy and kind of put it all over my forehead, which I guess you could do that. But sometimes it can look like a helmet. I think some people, like they say you have a bronzer helmet. I don't want a bronzer helmet. So I like to place the bronzer just right around it. Right where I got my thumber. When it comes to contouring my jaw, make sure you don't bring it up too high. It'll essentially give you like a 5 o'clock shadow, which none of us really want. However, sometimes if you want to completely change your face shape, there's ways to go about it. I'm more so talking about what I prefer and what I like to do. I like to keep it right about here, which I am bringing it up a little bit, but I'm not bringing it up too high. I'm trying to keep it right here where that natural shadow is and just doing a little bit. I'm not doing a lot. Again, this is, you know, we want to build up that bronzer, but I'm not bringing it too high. So just be careful and be aware of where you're placing your brush, because you just don't want some weird bronzer line right here on your face, but just keep it slightly underneath. Okay, when it comes to doing my nose, let me find my brush. I love using this little guy. It is a Luxie 213T. I just think it has the perfect angle and precision for my nose contour. And when doing my nose, I don't necessarily need to contour my nose. I already have a small, slimmer nose. I just personally like to do it because when I'm contoured everywhere else, I feel like the center of, like, I don't know, I just always feel like it's missing on my nose. So I always feel like I need to do my nose. So I like to take a small amount of product and bring it straight down. You want to contour here and here. This is where I personally like to contour to make my nose look slimmer. You can contour your nose or not contour your nose. It's really up to you. Then I kind of bring it up in here. And at first, I'm not too worried about blending yet. I'm just kind of placing the product down. And again, bringing it right in here. I wanted a more extreme nose contour when I did my makeup this weekend, so I definitely wanted the more extreme look. You can even do like a little button nose, whatever you want, you know, it's whatever you feel. Oh my God, my nose itches. And then without any additional product, I just kind of go in and blend it. And then one of the things I always would recommend, no matter what, is always taking a big fluffy brush and just kind of go over everything to make sure it's all blended. So I always like to do this. I have forgotten to do this before, and sometimes things just don't look as blended as they could be. So this just ensures that everything is pretty well blended, so you don't have any harsh lines on your face. If you were to get a little too sloppy with your contour, you could always take some loose powder and clean it up. I don't know, I just never really do that. I'm pretty particular when placing. I'm sure, I mean, I've gotten sloppy before, don't get me wrong. But especially if you've gone too low with it, again, because you don't want to go too low because it'll make your jaw look bigger. But you know, I'm not really picky about it. So, but if you feel like it's sloppy, it could look more cut, or you want it more extreme, definitely take some translucent powder, put it underneath here, about right here, and let it set for a couple minutes and then brush it off. It will clean up that contour for you. All right, now for blush, I use the Morphe 90 blush palette, which y'all know my favorite shades in this palette are these two. Keep it on the apples, and I am one of those that take it up where we did the bronzer. That's just me. I just like the way that that looks. You do not have to do that. In fact, you don't have to wear any blush, but I am a blush whore, so I like wearing blush. For highlight, I went in with two different highlights. First, I started off with the Ofra Beverly Hills highlight. Ugh, this highlight is amazing. And I literally do like one of these around because that's just me. I love mixing highlights. And I highlight up here from basically my, the edge of my eyebrow. I actually take my highlight down to here. I don't have a lot of texture. I did use that pore filling primer, so it doesn't look as bad on me. However, if you do have texture, big pores, you might not want to bring it down so far and keep it about right here on your cheek, because essentially you'd be highlighting your texture and bringing out your texture and your big pores. I have big pores too, but like I said, I use that pore filling primer there. But I like to bring it down on the apples of my cheeks. That's just my personal preference. Just keep it on, you know, right about here on your face. Don't bring it down too low. You want to highlight the places where light naturally hits your face. So typically that's about right here. And if you put highlight right here, it'll give you a naturally lifted effect to your face, which is what I like about highlighting right here. And then I actually like to do like a C shape and bring it down. I also don't mind highlighting a little bit of the center of my forehead just with leftover highlight. I don't dip in and then do that. I just take a little bit of leftover just on the center of my forehead. And then I take my finger and dip into this shade right here because it's not too white, it's not too dark, it's just a really nice shade. I like to highlight the tip of my nose. Some people, this is not your thing. You know, some people don't like doing their nose. Then don't do your nose. So I like to do that and then bring it down the center of my nose, like so. Gives you the illusion of a slimmer nose. Boom. And then again, I'm going to kind of try and plump my upper lip. If you have naturally big lips or have lip filler, you can leave this step out, no big deal. And then I like to do a little bit on my chin, like that. And then for an extra pop, which you don't need, but the Amrezy Anastasia Beverly Hills highlighter is amazing. And I like to take some just right here, right there, with this highlight. Boom. So you got that. Any leftover, do the same thing. Just a little bit, not much. Again, for like the 5th time, is it necessary? Is it necessary? Absolutely not. Do I like to do it? Hell yeah. And then again, I will spray with the all-nighter. While this is drying, I'm gonna go ahead, hop off camera, do my brows, put some lashes on, and I will be right back. Okay guys, so here is the final look. I know that this is a ton of makeup and it's not for everybody. Again, it's extreme, it's over the top, but sometimes, every now and again, we all like to do that extra glam. Well, at least I do. So I don't do this very often, as you know from my channel. I like less coverage, and 1 concealer, you know, 4 primers is not necessary. All the steps I took is not necessary. 3 concealers is not necessary. This is just what I did on Saturday, and I thought it turned out great. And I wanted to share my process, the tips and tricks that I did on Saturday with you guys. So I hope you liked this video. If you hung in here until the end, you are the true MVP. I just want to let you know that. You guys are the MVPs. Let me know down below if you are an MVP or an MVS, most valuable subscriber. Yep, I said it. All right, I think that is the end for me. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. And I will see you guys on my next one. Thanks for watching.